Okay, so we have Parshat Noach, and we have amazing teachings from Tzadok HaKohen. And this week, he talks about Torah. He talks about Torah, and specifically oral Torah. And through the teachings that we're going to be sharing, so you're really going to learn of how to connect to Torah and what it takes to connect to Torah. Am I ready for Torah? Is Torah really for me? So there's actually, Torah is not for everybody, and if you're not ready for Torah is going to really mess with you, and so the theme of today's class is how to get ready for Torah. Okay, so in this Parsha, in Parshat Noach, so there's two themes, there's two stories that the Torah talks about, and the two sins the Torah talks about. One is the sin of the Mabul, of the Dor HaMabul, and the second is the sin of the Dor HaFlaga. Okay, the Dor HaFlaga, this was the people, the Tower of Babel. Okay, so he starts with the Midrash, the Midrash Tanchuma, this week's parasha. So it talks at great length about the beauty and the value and the preciousness of Torah Sheba'al Peh, of the oral Torah, and how Torah Sheba'al Peh is where it's at. If you really want to be close to Hashem, the only way is through Torah Sheba'al Peh, is through the oral Torah. And it says in the Gemara also that the people who are just into Tanakh, so they're missing the point. They're missing the point. And I know from my experience that was always the case. If you're into Tanakh, it almost always, there's exceptions, but the person who's really into Tanakh, it always means that they're just a little bit off in their relationship with Judaism. And I'm just telling you my experience. And the real Torah is specifically through the oral Torah. Now, what is the oral Torah? The oral Torah is Gemara, and the oral Torah is the Zohar and Chassidus and Pnimiyus Torah and the soul of Torah, and the Midrash Tanchuma says that really, if you want to really be connected to Hashem, the only way is through the oral Torah. Okay, and the Shalom, and so it talks about that, and it doesn't seem to have any place. It doesn't seem to be too connected to what the parsha at all. So he starts this discourse by explaining a little bit of the background of just to explain why the Midrash Tanchuma is talking about Torah, is talking about specifically Torah Sheba'al Peh, and it goes like this. So it says in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that there were 10 generations between Adam and Noach. And there was another 10 generations between Noach and Avraham. Okay, so what these 10 generations? So he explains that whenever we see the number 10 in Torah, so because we are Kabbalists, so our eyes should light up, and we should think 10 spheres, 10 spherot. Okay, so that 10 is like if you just went to Hebrew school, so you say 10 plagues or 10 commandments, or if you watch a lot of movies, but because we're Kabbalists, 10 is 10 sefirot. Okay, so what's the 10 sefirot? 10 sefirot is the 10 spiritual levels of rectification, meaning that Adam Rishon, he made a mistake. He ate from the tree of knowledge, and there were different levels of sabotage, of destruction that his sin caused, and there's 10 spiritual levels that needed to be peeled off in order to fix that destruction that came as a result of the sin of the tree of knowledge. Okay, so that is why that is labiyut. That is why there's 10 generations between Adam and Noach, because he messed up, and when you mess up, you need to fix, you need to rectify. So there's 10 levels, 10 steps of the ladder in which he was fixing that sin. Okay, so the 10 generations, that represents 10 levels. Each time they were going one step further, and when they got to the 10th level, then they were ready. And after they did 10, each of the spiritual levels, then they were ready for the next level, and the next level was going to be to get the Torah. And so the generation of Noach was the generation that was the 10th generation from Adam, and that's why they were ready, they were meant to be a generation that's going to accept the Torah. What happened? That they weren't worthy, that they messed up. We're going to soon see how they messed up and why they messed up. But because they messed up, so even though they were supposed to get the Torah, but because they messed up, it didn't work. And because it didn't work, it came down in the form of a flood. Okay? That we know the Torah is compared to water, among other things. It says if you're thirsty, then come and drink the water. It refers to the water it refers to the Torah as water. It also refers to the Torah as the Yam, as the sea, as the sea of Chokhmah, the sea of wisdom, and so because the Torah is referred to as the sea, as water, so when you're going to mess up and not be able to receive the Torah properly, so it might come in a destructive kind of water, i.e. a flood that's going to destroy the world. Okay, so that was step one. That was chapter 1 in trying to receive the Torah, and then because they messed up again, so they needed to have another 10 generations of rectification, and that's the 10 generations that came from Noach to Avraham, and then in Abraham's generation, so it was another opportunity to receive the Torah, and Abraham succeeded. And Abraham, in a certain sense, he received the Torah, and that's why it says in the Gemara, that says it's really going on the pasuk in Chumash. It says Eikav Shema Avraham b'Kaili, that Hashem says that because Abraham listened to my voice, Vayishmar Mishmarti Mitzvaisai Chukaisai V'Saraisai, and he kept my guardings and my mitzvahs and my statutes and my Torahs. Okay, so it refers to Abraham as keeping the Torah, and so the Gemara in Yoma says that when it says this pasuk that Abraham was listening to the Torahs, it says that what it means to say is that he kept the entire Torah, that Abraham was living a regular Orthodox life as we know it. Afilu erev tafshilin, even such a nuance as that if there's a yontif that falls out before Shabbos and you're not allowed to prepare from yontif to Shabbos, so there's a trick to make erev tafshilin that you're able to. That even that Abraham performed, even that Abraham kept. Okay, so for our purposes, when it says that he's even keeping erev tafshilin, so the point for us is that is a rabbinical. Okay, that's coming from the rabbis, and that is part of the Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's coming from the oral Torah. There is absolutely no hint whatsoever to this Erev Tavshilin business in the written Torah. So Abraham, he represents the oral Torah, and in the generation of Noach, that represents there was a desire to give down the written Torah. Okay, and I know this is still very just esoteric, but that's why in the times of the flood, in the times of the Dor HaMabul, so even before they messed up with just regular immorality and like stealing and not respecting each other's property, it says that there is a certain mess up that there is this crazy story. It doesn't matter, and then Hashem said, "That's it." That Vayamar Elokim, that Leolam lo yadun ruchi ba'adam b'shagam hu basar v'hayu yamav 120 shana. That from now on, I'm not going to. There's different ways of interpreting the pasuk. That because they're so bad, I need to be more lenient on them. I can't be so judgmental with them. B'shagam hu basar, and because they're flesh. Because they have flesh, so they have lust and they make mistakes. And from now on, their lifespan is going to be 120 years. Okay, and it's from this pasuk that we get the concept like Ad Me'ah V'Esrim, like the maximum lifespan that we can aspire to is 120 years. It comes from this pasuk. Yeah. Why 120? I mean, so the thing is that Bishagam. So the Zohar says that Bishagam, the word Bishagam, which is a reference to this new decree, Bishagam is the same numerical value as Moshe, and that's what it says. his days should be 120 years, that was exactly the lifespan of Moshe Rabbeinu. So meaning that Hashem was saying that from now on I need to be a little bit just more easygoing with mankind, because they're just prone for failure. But he hinted in this pasuk of his being lenient, but there's going to be one person later that's going to make it. Come. That's going to make it, and that's Moshe Rabbeinu, and he's going to be the one that lives 120 years. Okay, so in the generation of the Mabul, so there was an intention, there was a hope that there was going to get the Torah, and that's where Moshe Rabbeinu was hinted to in this generation, and that's why it's hinted to the 120 years, but because they failed, so it got messed up. So Reb Tzadok explains that in the time of the Dor HaMabul, so the Torah that they were hoping to get, that Hashem hoped to be able to give them, was actually the written Torah. And the Torah of Abraham Avinu, that was the oral Torah. Okay, so now when the generation of the flood, so when they didn't deserve to receive the Torah, so how did they mess up? So it says in the Torah that they had two major problems. They had treachery, meaning that like theft and damaging each other and basically not respecting each other's property, and sexual immorality. Okay, it says that ki hishchit kol basaras da kol haaretz, and the Gemara says that when the word hashchata is a reference to sexual immorality. So basically their problem was that they were just disgusting people. Okay? They were disgusting when it came to sexuality. They were disgusting when it comes to respecting each other's property. Okay? Like in modern Hebrew also, like a person, like not really Hebrew, but like in like yeshivish talk. So if you say that somebody is a mushchas, to say that somebody is a mushchas means that he's just a disgusting person. That like a person that's just like
So the world then looked very similar to the world today then. That's what you're trying to say.
To some communities today. Mm-hmm. The ones that there are Baruch Hashem, there's no, I'm talking about so the problem with Dor HaMabul was that they were just really mushchas. They were really just disgusting people, and they didn't to not respect other people's property, to not respect other people's rights. So that's to step over people. That's you're just a disgusting person, and that's a most basic fallacy. That's a most basic detriment to the person that you couldn't even get to Asher B'Chsav. They couldn't even the written Torah, like the simple way, just get the rules. Not even talk about getting close to God. Just like to have a set of rules to go by. If you're not an upstanding person, if you're just a disgusting person, so then like Torah's not going to help you. Torah's not going to help you. And this is the idea that it says in Chazal that derech eretz kadma Torah. Derech eretz kadma Torah, and this is a Torah from the Holy Ramak, from Moshe Cordovero. He was a great Kabbalist, the generation before the Ari. There's a tiny bit of overlap, but he was the generation before the Arizal, and he has a sefer called Sha'arei Kedusha, where he asks a very simple question. That is that everybody knows that midot is one of the most important things in Judaism. Like having good character traits is the most important thing in Judaism. The Vilna Gaon writes that the entire purpose of our being coming down into this world is a person to refine his midot. And so how could such a critical thing in Judaism, to have good character traits, how could it not be in the Torah? How come there isn't a pasuk that says that you have to respect other people, that you have to be happy, that you can't be lazy, that you're there's a mitzvah here. It says you can't hit people, but it doesn't say you can't be a jerk. It doesn't say that you can't be obnoxious. It doesn't say that you can't be manipulative. He doesn't say like there's no like that just being a good person, just a person. It doesn't like you can be that doesn't say don't be a crabby person. Don't be a cold person. Don't be a person who's a control freak. So I think it's objective that a control freak is a person nobody wants to be around. And it's a person with the person who is controlling is a person who has a bad midos. So it should be in the Torah. So he says, you know why it's not in the Torah? Because if you don't have good midot, then you're not in the Parshat. The Torah wasn't meant for you. That's what it means. Derech Eretz Kadmal Torah. That just having good character traits needs to precede the Torah. And if you're not there, so like nothing I say can help you. Nothing like Hashem is saying. They're like, no. If I tell you, just stop being a jerk, okay? So, me, jerk? You haven't noticed that like the biggest jerks, they're the always ones that like, I get this with shidduchim, that somebody like says, oh, I don't know, like somebody told me that you thought that I wasn't good for this person, like could you please tell me what's wrong with me? Tell me, I love to work on myself. I love to. Well, let's start with the fact that if somebody doesn't answer the phone, so don't call them another 5 times, one after the other. Okay, that's a good start. If you want to think about how.
Wait, let me take notes.
Like there's something. Like sometimes, like what can I say? Like I don't know. Like there's just like you're just go to manners school. Just go to I don't know. What's it called?
Finishing school.
Finishing school. You're finished. Yeah. So like these people, if you don't get it, you're hopeless. You're hopeless. I mean, like daven, like nobody's hopeless. Like there's always hope. There's always, but like, and we should daven for them that he should get it, and so but it's so crazy. Like they always like they're growth oriented people. Like they're just twisted. They're just really really messed up. And it's like, so that's what it means. Like the Arachas coming on Torah is that Hashem is saying that like if you're not on the same page as me when it comes to Derech Eretz, so like don't bother. I can't help you. And I know I've shared before the teaching from the Vilna Gaon that he says in the Pasuk on Hazino that it says that Yarov kamatar likhi tizal katali matid. Hashem compares Torah to dew and to rain. So the Vilna Gaon says why is Torah compared to dew and rain? Because dew and rain, so they sprout whatever seeds you have, that's what it sprouts. So if you have a beautiful seed, it'll sprout a beautiful plant. If you have a rotten seed, it's going to sprout a rotten plant. And that's so the Vilna Gaon says that the Torah is like water and dew. That if you're just a rotten seed, so then when you learn Torah, it's going to sprout you into a rotten plant. Okay? And that's why you have this crazy reality that if you're really messed up, so then the Torah can actually make you worse. The Torah can actually make you worse. It's a crazy thing. And I had the story that like there was this guy that he was really messed up, and he was always very controlling and very like he intimidated me. Like he was in the army for 10 years, and it was very scary, and so like I always thought like I think you would have been better off if you wouldn't have learned Torah. I think you were probably less dangerous. I think because now until now he could always tell everybody off just because he's telling them off, but now he would tell them off and say, look, it says in the Rambam that I'm right, and I can tell you off in the name of God, and it's even worse. Now he's nobody can tell him, nobody can prove him wrong because God's on my side. See, I showed you. So that's why Derech Kadmon Torah means that if you don't have basic midot tovot, if you don't have basic character, good positive character traits, so then even the most basic fundamental parts of Judaism, they're just it's going to be lost in you. You're gonna hear all the words and just misinterpret everything. everything. And like there was this couple that came to couples therapy, and she said she brought this Rambam to the therapist, and she said, here, read this, and like it was the Rambam, and the Rambam like writes that a person needs to always be supportive to his wife, and the person always needs to be loving to his wife, needs to respect his wife, and she should never hurt his wife, and she's like, yeah, read that one again, yeah, and then she says, what do you have to say for yourself? So he says, what do I have to say for myself? The Rambam was not talking about a wife like you. So if you're just you're always going to have answers. You're always going to have. There's nothing. Okay. So this is the first level. This is the first level of Torah. This is just the basic shalom. So this is the first level of connecting to Torah is that we're calling Torah Shebeksav. That we're telling just listening to the rules without deep connection. Okay, just listening to the rules. That this was what is intended for the Dor HaMabul. In the generation of Dor HaMabul, Hashem was hoping to give them the tikkun of the Torah Shebeksav, and because they messed up, because they didn't have proper character traits, so they weren't worthy, and so the result of not being worthy of Torah Shebeksav is destruction. Okay, because if you just don't have what it takes, then there's no tikkun for you. That's why the Dor HaMabul was just destroyed. Okay, so yeah, don't be messed up. Okay, so we got this right. So now, what?
Someone write that down.
So now we come to the second. So then after this mess up of the Torah HaMabul, so then we have another 10 generations. Then we come to the Dor of Avraham Avinu, and so what was the mistake? What was the mistake in the Dor of Avraham Avinu? So in times of Avraham Avinu, so they were fixing. There was the next level of trying to get the Torah, and this was the level of the oral Torah. Okay, so now. Oral Torah. What is oral Torah? Like, just literally, oral Torah is that it wasn't written down. It was given from teacher to student orally. Okay? But the truth is that it's much deeper than that. That part of the reason why Torah needs to be oral is because a necessary component in Torah is that every link in the chain has their particular way of understanding, the way that it resonates with them, and they're giving their understanding of the Torah to the next generation. So there's a certain depth that I get that nobody else got, and I'm able to give that to my students, and there's a certain depth that they're going to get that I didn't even get, and they're going to understand that, they're going to give that to their students. That's why Torah Sheba'al Peh is constantly growing. The Torah Shebeksav, the written Torah, there's a certain amount of letters in the Torah Shebeksav, it's never going to grow. And Torah Sheba'al Peh is constantly growing. Like it started with the Mishnah, then it became the Talmud, and then it became the Rishonim, and then it became the Achronim. Now it's libraries. It's thousands. It's endless. It's a mamash. It's like Torah Sheba'al Peh is constantly growing, and the understanding and the nuances and the truths that are being revealed in Torah Sheba'al Peh is actually infinite. Okay, it's because part of that's why what's so beautiful about Torah Sheba'al Peh is that in Torah Shebeksav, so I'm a onlooker. I'm on the stands. I'm watching the game. In Torah Sheba'al Peh, so I'm playing the game. I'm one of the guys that my question is part of the conversation, and it's going to be written down. It's going to be part, and we can all be, even if we're not going to be the one writing the book, but we can be the one that the person writing the book is going to say, and they asked this, and somebody asked me this amazing question, and I was just on Sukkot, so I saw an old Rebbe of mine, and he's a very nice person, and like that's part of why like I liked him so much. But he's also a super genius. His name is Mordechai Kalbach. He's amazing sfer, and so I saw him, like I wanted to say something to make him feel good. So I told him that you have no idea, like when I was 18 years old, those chaboras you gave in the Meir Shiva, this was before he published this far, like that was like, it was the highlight of my week, and it was amazing. You have no idea how much it affected me. And so he said back to me, he's also a nice person. He wanted to make me feel good. So he said, yeah, I remember I quoted you twice in the book. so like I'm nothing. I'm like another percent of how great he is. But I made it into the book because I asked him a question. I had a tiny point that I added to his, like, he said 1,000 things, and I added, like, by the way, I saw a similar thing, so we can become part of the conversation, and we can become Teresh B'Alpeh. It's amazing. It's awesome that anybody that's so. So this is the big difference between Teresh B'Ksav and Teresh B'Alpeh. That Teresh B'Ksav is limited, and Teresh B'Alpeh is infinite. And the other difference is that Teresh B'Ksav is we are listening, and Teresh B'Alpeh, so we are also talking. Okay, and this is the place of innovation. So what is the thing? What is the thing that if you want to be part of Torah B'Alpeh? So this is getting to the second part of the parsha of the Dor HaFloga of the Tower of Babel. So what was the problem in the Tower of Babel? Okay, so the Torah says very clearly that the generation of the Tower of Babel. So they said that let's make a tower, and it's going to go up to heaven. V'nasa lanu shem. Let's make a name for ourselves. Okay, their problem was that they were very egocentric. They were it's all about me, to the point that they wanted to like wage war with God. It's an interesting thing. I read once that the greatest enemy to Emunah is ego. Because deep down your ego doesn't want to allow that somebody is telling me what to do. Doesn't want to allow that, like, there's something bigger than me. Our ego wants to feel that I'm the greatest thing around. And so the concept of having a God is just like, it's hard. It's hard for our ego to deal with the fact that, like, I have to be number two. I'll always have to be after God, so then I can be the most important. And so that was the problem of the Tower of Babel. V'nasa lanu shem. Their thing was that I need to be on top. And so that at the time that it was that Hashem wanted to reveal the oral Torah, the Teresh B'Alpeh. So the way that they messed up in not being able to receive the oral Torah was because they had an ego. Meaning that the way that we go against the Teresh B'Ksav is by just being messed up, and the way that we go against Teresh B'Alpeh is by being full of ourselves. Okay? And so this is, by the way, that Noach, so it says he was a tzaddik. But on the other hand, it says that he was a tzaddik b'dor hatav. He was a tzaddik in his generation. Because if he would have been in the generation of Abraham, so then he wouldn't have been considered so great. And the truth is that it's obvious that he wasn't as good as Abraham, because we're considered the descendants of Abraham. Hashem didn't choose Noach to be the father of the Jewish people. He only chose Abraham to be the father of the Jewish people. So obviously he's not the same level of Abraham. So what's the difference? So Chazal say that, you know what Noah's problem was? That he didn't really care about the rest of the world. That, he should have davened for the rest of the world. Hashem told him that you should make yourself an ark because I'm going to destroy the world. And he said, "Ooh, boy, I better make an ark because the rest of the world is going to be destroyed." And like, hello, could you maybe think that maybe there's like another, how many people do we have in the world? I don't know how many there were then, but like another 13 billion people in the world. What?
7 billion?
7 billion. Okay, it was different at the time of Noach. It was much less. But like, there's tons of people out there. There's tons of people out there that are about to be boiled to death with a big flood, and like, don't you care about those innocent babies that are going to be boiled to death? Like, people even care about Palestinians. Why do you just care about yourself? So he was okay. He was a upstanding human being. He didn't steal from people. He didn't have sexual immorality. he respected boundaries, okay? But he wasn't messed up, but he had a problem that his caring was only about himself, okay? And that is the opposite. That's the opposite of Abraham. Abraham is a person that his entire life was for other people. And that's exactly what you need in order to be connected to Torah Sheba'al Peh. So you need to forget about yourself. You need to be able to say a person that lives for others. And that was Abraham's whole life. That whether he was living for others when it comes to giving them food, to giving them a place to sleep, whether it's caring about others when it's teaching them about Hashem, but teaching them about how to have lives of emunah, have lives of appreciation. So that his whole life was about spreading wisdom, spreading goodness, It's all about everybody else. It's not about me. There's an amazing teaching from the Chassam Sofer that that in one of the generations between Adam and Noach. So it says that there was a person by the name of Chanoch, and by Chanoch it says a very special thing that it says that he didn't die. It says he didn't die. That ve'inenu va'yisal Chanoch es Elokim ve'inenu ki lokach es Elokim. That he went before Hashem, and then suddenly he disappeared. He disappeared because God took him. So Chazal said, what's it mean he disappeared because God took him? It means he didn't die. He's just like, there's only one other person in history that this happened to, and that's Eliyahu. That Eliyahu also. That he went up, right? Yaakov is different, similar but different.
I heard also
Rabbi
about
Yoshua ben Levi as well. Also from the Shemayim alive.
Okay, I'm not sure what that's referring to, but in Tanakh it says in Tanakh it says about Chanoch, and it says about Eliyahu and Yaakov. So it doesn't say that he didn't. It says he didn't die, but it doesn't mean the same thing. It doesn't mean that his body went up to heaven alive. By Chanoch and by Eliyahu, his body went up to heaven. By Yaakov, he's buried in Meretz Machpelah. I visited him the other day. So it's not the same thing. Okay, but you're right. He also has a bechina of chiyos. Anyway, so Chanoch was so great that he went up to that he didn't die. So doesn't that say that he's pretty holy? So if he's so holy, so why isn't he the father of the Jewish people? That's the Chassam Sofer's question. So the Chassam Sofer answers that Chanoch is extremely holy, but being holy doesn't cut it. If you want to be the father of the Jewish people, so it's not enough to be holy. You have to also care about other people. And Chanoch, he was extremely, extremely holy, but it was only as far as his personal spiritual growth. He was very, very into his personal spiritual growth. I need to be the holiest person in the universe, and anything that was another chumrah, another tainus dibur, another fast, another that I'm not going to. There was a tzaddik that he didn't want to go outside ever because he might see something immodest. So he created this tunnel between his house and his shul, so he would never ever have to go outside. Okay,
happens to be Chabad in New York, right?
No. And so it happens to be the person I'm talking about. Actually, he actually did help Klal Yisrael, but he wasn't a self-centered person at all. But I'm just like imagining, like a person who could be extremely, extremely self-centered, extremely into the fact that like I need to be the holiest thing alive, and really that's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is that I need to be holy, and so Hashem says, like it's very cute that you're so holy, but like that's not what it takes to be the father of the Jewish people. To be the father of the Jewish people, you need to be a person that cares about others. So if you're just focused on yourself, it doesn't cut it. And so the in order to be a person of Torah Sheba'al Peh, in order to be a tzaddik of Torah Sheba'al Peh, so what you need to conquer your ego. And so I had this thought that there was a Torah that I heard recently. I heard this Torah at Sukkot from a Makubal named Rav Ashlag. That it could be that it was said over incorrectly to me. It sounds cool, but it's like something about it didn't strike me. It didn't resonate with me like so simply. That what this person quoted from Rav Ashlag was that if you have two people, one of them is One of them is just a person who's just completely into his lust. Like the whole day, he's just like eating in restaurants the whole day, hanging out with girls the whole day. It's just like his entire life is lust. And you have another guy. He's a Talmid Chacham, but he's full of himself. He thinks that he's God's gift to humanity, and he thinks that nobody else understands Torah as great as he is. And so the question is that who's on a higher level, who's on a lower level. So what this person was saying from Rav Ashlag was that you would think that the loser in the shok is on a lower level, but the truth is that a person that has the sin of gaiva, so gaiva is connected to your soul. So if your soul is messed up, it's much, much worse than if your body is messed up. So actually he was saying that what this person was trying to say was that the rabbi that thinks that he's God's gift to humanity is actually more messed up than the guy that knows he's, the Kutzker Rebbe said, I'd rather a rasha, I'd rather a wicked person that knows he's wicked than a tzaddik that thinks he's a tzaddik. Okay? So no, there's only one time. So at first glance, it sounds cute, right? It sounds like, whoa, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like all the drunk people in the shuk, they're actually holier than the rabbi. That's so, but it doesn't it didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with someone that to actually say, because to be honest, the rabbi, even though he's full of himself, but he tries, and he's a good person, and he does, and he really cares about Hashem, and he's and the other guy, it's true that he doesn't think so much of himself, but he's nothing in his life is directed towards good. So how could it really be? So, but I think that this teaching from Tzadok is really the pathway to understand what Rav Ashlag really meant, and that is that if you're just a messed up person, if you just don't have the basic morality, so then you're not ready for Torah Shebeksav. After you have Torah Shebeksav, then there's a deeper level of Torah Sheba'al Peh, and the level of Torah Sheba'al Peh, the gateway to connecting to Torah Sheba'al Peh is specifically to conquer your ego. Okay, so it's two levels that the first step is to be able to connect to Torah on a baseline level, that my body is following Torah, and then there's a higher level that my soul is connected to Torah, and to reach the higher level, then you need to conquer your ego. So that was Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu, he was the one who was able to conquer his ego. So that's why he was the one that was able to be the champion of Torah Sheba'al Peh, to bring down Torah Sheba'al Peh down into the world. And so how does this work? What's the connection between conquering your ego and being a champion of Torah Sheba'al Peh? So the last thing I want to share with you is that there's a teaching from the Ramban. That the Ramban, he quotes this. This is I've heard this in other places as well. That the Gemara says that even though Nevuah was taken from the prophets, but it was not taken from the Chachamim, from the wise men. So what does this mean exactly? So the Ramban says that there's two kinds of prophecy. There's a certain prophecy that goes to prophets, and that's the prophecy of a vision, of a person who the Hashem tells a prophet what to say. And that there was history in time. There was time in history that Hashem would speak to prophets, and that was from Adam Harishon was a prophet, and the last prophet was Malachi. Okay, Malachi in the beginning of the Second Temple. So Malachi was the last prophet, and Malachi knew that he was the last prophet, and that's why the last two messages of Malachi at the very end of the Sefer is two things. First of all, Zichru Torah Meisha. The first of all, don't forget the Torah, and last that Hine Anochi Shalach Lachem, as Eliyahu Navi, that don't forget, I'm going to send Eliyahu Navi, Lifnei Bayayim Hashem and Gadol V'Hanera, that Mashiach is coming. Okay, that is his two messages to the end of time is, number one, don't forget the Torah. Number two, don't give up. There's going to be a Gula. There's going to be a redemption. Okay? That was his two messages, because he knew that he was the last prophet. Okay, so at that point, so the Gemara says that Nitla Nevuah Min Hanavim, that there is no more prophecy prophets, but there is Chachamim prophets. Now, what does it mean, Chachamim, wise men prophets? So the Ramban explains, Sheyodim es ha'emes min ruach hakodesh shebekirban, that they understand the truth from the divine inspiration in their hearts. Okay, now what does that mean? What does that mean? It means it's a different kind. It's a different kind of God talking to you. That there's a certain way of God talking to you that you're just like completely negated, and that's what Torah B'Ksav is all about, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was all about. Moshe Rabbeinu, so his whole thing was that he was nothing. V'anachnu ma, he was completely negated to God. He was not a thing. He was not a function. And so that's why when you're to connect to Torah B'Ksav, the way to connect to Torah B'Ksav is by complete negation. And then there's Torah B'Peh. And the Torah B'Peh is all about the understanding in my heart. Okay? And so the only way to really understand in my heart what the truth is only if I completely rid myself of any personal agenda. That if I'm going to come to Torah Shabbat with my personal agenda, then I will never ever connect with truth. Then it'll always be that I'm just like spewing my personal opinions on everybody. If I ever want to come to a point of truth, a point of my chiddush, my epiphany in the world, so the only way to do that is to really, really close my eyes and listen to my inner voice. Okay, and this is what it means to destroy your ego. It means that I really want to know what is God's message for me to the world. And it's a very soft voice. And if you want to listen to it, the only way is to really throw out your agenda, throw out your preconceived notions. And that's what it means to kill your ego. That was what Avram Avinu was able to do. Okay, and that was the opposite. That was the opposite of the Dor HaFlaka. That was the people of the Tower of Babel. But and that's why Tzadok says that it's such a crazy thing, that where was the essence of Torah Shabbat Peh? Where was the essence of Torah Shabbat Peh? In Bavel, in Babylonia. Okay? That the height, the beauty of the oral Torah was in Babylonia. And there's this, there's two versions of the Talmud. There's the Talmud Yerushalmi, there's Jerusalem Talmud, and then there's the Babylonian Talmud. And so there's this rabbi in Jerusalem that he has this whole new religion to revive the Jerusalem Talmud, and he thinks that the only reason why the entire Judaism has been based on the Babylonian Talmud is only because we were in exile, and now that we're back in Israel, so now we have to revert to the Jerusalem Talmud. It's just ignorance. That the reason why the entire halacha is based on the Babylonian Talmud is because the Babylonian Talmud is much richer than the Jerusalem Talmud. That it actually got deeper. It actually got more beautiful. It actually got richer in Bavel. And I was talking to somebody, a student of this rabbi, and he was saying, he was telling me that now that we're back in Israel, we need to try to revert to what life was like during the first temple. And I told him, there's something very, very lacking in this philosophy, because what you're basically saying is that the past 2,000 something years were just wasted, and we were just going nowhere for 2,000 something years. And I believe that the Torah has become much, much richer over these thousands of years. And this is the reason why Hashem put us into exile, is because through the exile, that's how the Torah became so beautiful. That's how the Torah became so deep. And that's because so many different people from so many different places, they connected to their personal truths, their personal understandings, and they added their flavor to this big conversation. That's what made this amazing, huge Torah, this conversation that we have. And there's so many, it's a kaleidoscope of different colors, and this kaleidoscope of different versions and different opinions, and it makes Torah so much deeper and so much more beautiful. And so this is the true reason why. This is the true reason why the halacha is based on the Talmud Bavli, because it's only through the Babylonian Talmud that we got to a deeper level of truth. And that's why, because the source of the oral Torah was in Bavel, that's why when the people in Bavel, when they were connecting, that they were the ones that were meant to reveal this Torah, and it's just that they messed up. That's why the Tower of Babel happened in Babel, because Babel is the place that Torah Sheba'al Peh was actually supposed to come out. So what was the problem? The problem was that they were lacking in the most basic element of Torah Sheba'al Peh, and that is to be able to forget about yourself. And that they had this personal agenda. It's all about me. It's all about me. And as long as it's all about your personal agenda, so then nobody cares what you have to say. Okay? And this is the way to connect to Torah Sheba'al Peh. The way to connect to Torah Sheba'al Peh requires that I actually care about the truth. I actually care about the truth, and this is the avoda that for us, as we're trying to connect to the oral Torah, as we're trying to connect to the true Judaism. So it's really critical to be able to just like be objective, to be able to close our eyes and say that, like, what do I actually think is the most beautiful truth? Like, forget about what I'm used to, forget about, but that's going to be hard for me. Let's for a moment, let's theoretically think about what is the most beautiful lifestyle, what is the most beautiful truth, and then that's what's so beautiful about learning Torah in general. That as we learn Torah, so we're forcing ourselves to connect to a world of truth, to connect to a certain utopian society where, like, we're just thinking about the more that we connect to that, so then the more it becomes part of our reality. And so what's necessary. This is it's so tragic when we see judges that have their preconceived notions and have their agendas and have their political views, and they speak in the name of truth based on their political agendas. It's such a horrible. It's a tragedy. It's not much a tragedy, because the definition of a judge is a person who's able to forget about my personal agenda, and for now I'm the mouthpiece of truth, and so this is what it takes to be a proponent of Torah Sheba'al Peh. So we need to be the students of Avraham Avinu. We need to be people that are able to forget about ourselves. We need to be people that are able to care about the greater good. And that's why the last point that I want to share with you is that the Tanchum in this week's Parshat says that the only person who can really connect with oral Torah is a person that really loves Hashem. And that's why Abraham was the one who brought down this energy of Torah Sheba'al Peh, because Abraham is the one that it says, Abraham Ohavi. That Hashem says about Abraham, he's the one who really loved me. Now, what does it mean to love someone? What it means to love someone is that you don't just care about yourself, okay? And that to be able to love means that I'm not serving myself. There's a story. It's a joke, except that it's not funny. And that there was what?
Those are my favorite kind of jokes.
Yeah. So that Rabbi Salanter was at the fish store, and he asked the guy. He's waiting for the punchline. He said, and he asked the guy in line, "Tell me something. Why are you buying fish?" So he says, "Why am I buying fish? I love fish." And so Rabbi Salanter told him that you're such a liar. If you would love the fish, so you would take the fish home and buy him a nice aquarium and buy him nice food, make him nice furniture inside the aquarium and to maybe make him a nice coat and sweater. And what do? What do? You kill him, and you bake him, and you eat him. You don't love the fish, you just love yourself. so laughing on the inside. So the thing is, the thing is like we laugh at that guy on the inside, but the thing is that how many of our relationships that we actually, how many people the people that we think that we love, that we don't love the person, we actually just love ourselves.
You just want to eat them.
We just want to. We just like the feeling that this person makes me feel when I'm around them. That if they say that I love this person, so some of the people that we think that we claim to love, when we say we love them, we just mean that they make me feel good. So that if you just mean that they make you feel good, that means you don't love them. That means you just love yourself. So you can have a person that he actually doesn't know what it means to love, because the only person he loves is only himself. And to actually love requires that you don't just think about yourself, that you actually have room in your heart for somebody else. And that's somebody else that I love, and something that I care about, and something like the truest love. I would even give up my own life for them, because that's the greatest, denying my ego. And so Avram Avinu, he is the hero of love. And because he was the hero of love, he was the one that was able to forget about himself. Because he was the one to forget himself, that's why he's the hero of Torah Shabbat Peh. So I bless us all that we should be able to connect to Torah. We should be able to connect to Torah Shabbat. How do we connect to Torah Shabbat? By not being messed up. Don't be messed up. Yes. But that's not enough. That's a good start. That's enough to be a Torah Shabbat kind of yid. And this week's parasha is challenging us to take that a step further, to not stop at Noach. Noach is that he was able to not be messed up, but he was focused on himself. And this week's parasha challenges us to take it to the next level, to take it to the level of Avram, that not only was he not messed up, but he also was able to forget about himself, and to be part of this love club of the people that were able to have really to forget about my own agenda, and that's how we become part of the conversation of Torah Shabbat Peh. That's at that moment, and only at that moment, does our opinion become relevant, and that's how we jump onto this bandwagon of making the Torah so beautiful and so wonderful. L'chaim.